The house looked smaller now. Maybe it was the overcast sky or just memory playing tricks. I hadn't seen her in years. Not since she and my stepdad ended whatever they were calling it. He never talked about her after that. Just a half-laugh, didn't work out, and a shrug. But I remembered her. Not because of her perfume or her laugh or any of the usual crap. I remembered the way she used to listen. Head tilted, eyes steady, like nothing you said bored her. I was 19 then, too young to know why that kind of attention stays with you. Now I was 24, and standing on her porch in the rain with a busted alternator belt in my trunk and a phone at 2% battery. She opened the door barefoot, hair pulled up, sleeves rolled. Looked like she'd been painting, or crying, or both. You, she said. No name, just that. Like I was a surprise she wasn't sure she wanted or didn't know how to handle. Car died. I gave a shrug that didn't explain anything. Was closest place I remembered. A pause. She looked past me, out toward the street, as if expecting someone else to appear behind me. Then her lips pressed together, and she stepped aside. Come in. I did. Slowly, careful not to look too long at her. She smelled like lemon and turpentine, and the place had that half-lived-in silence you only notice when you're standing in someone's home for the first time in years. There were sheets over the furniture in the front room. A paint can half open on the floor. The fireplace still had ashes in it. You repainting? I asked. She nodded. Starting over, I guess. Then quieter. Didn't expect anyone. I can go if... No, she said too fast. Then softer. No, it's fine. Just surprised. She made tea. We sat at the kitchen table, where the wood was still scratched from when I spilled a bottle of Coke 5 summers ago. She didn't bring it up. Neither did I. She asked about school. I told her I dropped out. She didn't ask why. Just nodded once and stirred her tea. I watched her hand. Her fingers were stained with blue paint, chipped at the nails, no ring. She used to wear one. Thin gold. Gone now. I heard you moved to Colorado, I said. Only for a year. Came back when my mother got sick. Stayed. A beat. People don't really leave here, do they? Not for long. Something about the way she said it made my stomach pull. Like she wasn't talking about geography at all. The kettle clicked again. Unnecessary now, just leftover heat. The room felt too quiet. You didn't tell him you were coming, did you? She asked suddenly. I looked up. Her eyes weren't soft anymore. They were sharp in that way only women get when they've done the math and don't like the equation. No, I said. Didn't even know if you still lived here. She gave a tiny, bitter laugh and shook her head. Then let's not tell him you came over. I didn't move. She looked at me. Really looked. Like I was something unexpected she hadn't decided whether to let in or send back out into the rain. You've grown up, she said finally, quiet. Her fingers brushed mine as she reached for her mug. Could have been an accident. But she didn't pull away. Neither did I. And the kettle clicked again. I told myself I'd leave after the tea. That I'd wait out the rain, thank her, and go. But that was 25 minutes ago, and I was still in the kitchen, holding an empty mug, watching her climb up a step stool to tape off the ceiling line. You don't have to help, she said, not looking back. I know, I said, but didn't move. There was a quiet hum in the house. Not a sound exactly, but a weight, like the place had soaked up too much memory and didn't know what to do with it. She was in cut-off sweatpants and an old college hoodie. No makeup. A tiny scar under her chin I never noticed before. I thought you were in design, I said. She reached for the roller. I was. So, painting your kitchen beige. A soft laugh. Cream. And it's temporary. I needed to cover what was here. What was here? Silence. The roller paused mid-stroke. A wall color someone else picked, she said. And I knew, without her saying, that she meant my stepdad. She came down the step stool slower than she went up, like the years had crept in when she wasn't looking. When she turned, She caught me staring. "What?" she said, smiling slightly. "Nothing. You're bad at lying. You're bad at hiding when something hurts." She froze. Not dramatically. Just her smile faded, and she looked at the roller like it had betrayed her. I stepped forward without thinking and picked up the other brush. "Show me where." She handed it over, but her fingers lingered a moment too long on mine. It was just a brush. Just paint. Just a Tuesday afternoon. But I felt her hesitation settle into me like a weight I couldn't name. "You always notice too much," she said under her breath. I didn't answer. The quiet stretched. Only the sound of soft brushstrokes and the tapping of rain against the windows. Her elbow brushed mine once, and neither of us moved. Not until she spoke again. "He told me you asked about me after I left." I kept painting. I was just confused. "No," she said. "You weren't." She set the roller down, then leaned against the counter, arms crossed. "I shouldn't have let you in," she said, voice low. "This isn't appropriate." "You think I don't know that?" I turned to face her. We were close now. Close enough I could smell her skin, paint and sweat and something warm underneath. "I was 19, I said. "You were the first person who ever made me feel—" I stopped myself. Her voice softened. "Don't say it." I wasn't going to. But the air between us shifted. Something brittle now. On edge. She reached for a rag and wiped her hands, slow. Then, gently, she laid a hand on my arm. "You don't have to leave yet," she said. The paintbrush sat in the sink. Forgotten. My hands smelled like mineral spirits and something sweeter I couldn't place. Maybe her lotion, maybe just the house. Maybe her. She leaned against the doorway now, arms still folded. Like if she physically held herself tight enough, the moment couldn't slip out of control. "I didn't expect you to stay," she said. "I thought you'd ask for a jump. Maybe charge your phone and go." "I told myself the same thing," I replied. She didn't smile. Just looked at me like she wanted to say something heavier. Something that might ruin the quiet between us if she said it out loud. I sat back down at the kitchen table. The light was starting to shift, yellow and soft, bleeding through half-drawn blinds. She joined me slowly, like she didn't trust herself not to change her mind. I wanted to say something stupid, "You still make that same face when you're thinking," or "I used to dream about you answering the door." Instead, I said nothing. Just watched her fingers tap the side of her mug. 2 beats, pause. 2 beats again. "You ever think about that summer?" she asked. Her voice was too calm, like the question wasn't loaded. "The one when you were still with him?" I said before I could filter it. She met my eyes, didn't look away. "You'd sit in the kitchen," I continued, "barefoot, reading your dumb mystery books. You never made me feel like a kid." "You weren't," she said. Quiet. Too quiet. Something in my chest turned over. Then the silence was broken. BZZZZZZZT. Her phone buzzed against the counter. Face up. A name flashed across the screen. "David Work." She stood to grab it but didn't answer. Just silenced the call and turned the phone face down. No explanation. I didn't ask. "You should go," she said. But her voice didn't match her words. "You want me to?" "That's not what I said." I stood up slowly. The table between us now felt like a fence. Or a dare. I stepped closer, just enough to notice the faint freckle behind her ear, the way her breathing caught when I reached to brush a bit of dried paint off her cheek. Her eyes flicked to mine. "You don't get to do that," she whispered. "What?" "Touch me like it's allowed." I didn't mean, "Yes, you did." She stepped back, but only by inches. "You always did." I should have left then. Should have backed off. But I didn't. "I think about that summer all the time," I said. My voice cracked a little. "You smiled like you were pretending to be okay. I noticed. And I hated how he never did." Her eyes closed just for a second. The phone buzzed again. Neither of us moved. The air in the kitchen had gone heavy. Still. like even the walls were holding their breath. She turned away from the phone, arms crossed again, defense mode. But her voice betrayed her. "Don't say things like that," she said, not looking at me. "Don't rewrite the past just because you're lonely now." I blinked. That one landed hard. Deserved it, maybe. "I'm not lonely," I said. Then softer, "At least not only." She finally looked at me. Her eyes were glassy, but dry. Her face still had that calm, practiced strength. But her hands were trembling. I noticed. "You think this is easy for me?" she asked. "No. I think you've been pretending it is." She gave a sharp, bitter breath that might have been a laugh. "I'm your stepdad's ex. I helped raise you through 2 holidays. I bought you your first real winter coat." "Yeah," I said, stepping closer. "And I've thought about you every year since you left." Her lips parted, but nothing came out. "I waited till I was sure it wasn't just a thing," I said. "A crush or whatever. But it didn't go away." Silence. Then she spoke, quieter. "I used to hear you pacing outside my office door. At night." I froze. "I never opened it," she went on. "But I knew it was you." "Why didn't you?" "Because I couldn't trust what I might say." She sat down at the edge of the table like her knees had given out. Her voice dropped again. "You were this quiet, steady thing in a house where nothing felt safe. And I hated how much I noticed." The room buzzed with things neither of us had said out loud before. "You saw me when no one else did," she said. "But I hated that too." My throat tightened. "Why?" "Because it wasn't your job." I sat down across from her, barely breathing. The closeness now felt dangerous. But not because it was wrong, because it felt like finally telling the truth. I reached across the table. This time she didn't pull away. She held my hand, tight, like it hurt, like she didn't want to let go, but might. "I thought I ruined you," she said. "You didn't. You were 19. I'm not anymore." A pause. Her fingers gripped mine harder. She leaned in a fraction. I did too. The space between us was down to inches. Her breath warm on my cheek. Eyes locked on mine. Then knock. Knock. We both jumped. The front door. A shadow through the frosted glass. Her hand slipped from mine. Neither of us moved. Then she whispered, barely audible. We stayed frozen, her question echoing louder than the knocks. "Do you want me to open it?" I couldn't answer. My mouth opened, but nothing came out. "Knock. Knock." The shadow on the porch shifted. Then a voice, low, familiar. "Claire." Her breath caught. I blinked. "Wait. Was that—" She nodded once. "It's him." I stepped back. My body moved before my thoughts could. My hand jerked from the table, my heart pounding somewhere up in my throat. "I didn't—" I started, but couldn't finish. She stood too slow. Like gravity was twice as heavy now. Her eyes were wide but unreadable. Not scared. Not exactly. I whispered, "Why is he here?" "I don't know," she said. "He never just shows up." The knock came again, firmer. Then, "Claire, I saw your car. I just need 5 minutes." We locked eyes. Then she said, so soft I almost missed it, "He knew about you." The words hit like a slap. I stared at her. "What?" Her mouth pressed into a line. Then she nodded once, shame crawling across her face in slow motion. "He found old messages. I never sent them, just drafts. Stuff I wrote when I couldn't sleep. About me. I never named you. But he knew. He said, 'You think I didn't notice how you looked at him?'" My legs nearly gave. "When?" 2 years ago. Right before we ended. He didn't say anything after that. Just left. And now he's here? I don't know why. I haven't spoken to him in months. A silence grew between us. Not cold, not angry. Just full. Heavy with everything we hadn't admitted. Everything we pretended we could leave unsaid. I moved toward the door, half on instinct. She stepped in front of me. No, she said. Let me. I should have stopped her. I should have said something, anything, don't lie. Don't protect me. Don't pretend this didn't happen. But I didn't. She opened the door. There he was. Gray at the temples, windbreaker, jaw set tight. Hey, he said. Casual. Too casual. She stood still. What are you doing here, David? I was nearby. Thought I'd check in. Why now? He glanced past her shoulder, into the house, and saw me. His face didn't change. Not even a flicker. That scared me more than anything. Didn't expect company, he said, tone unreadable. Claire didn't flinch. He broke down nearby. Car trouble. David nodded once, slowly. Sure. That right. I didn't answer. My throat felt like sand. Then he looked at Claire again. You still have the letters, don't you? What? You kept them. The drafts. Her face went pale. And he said evenly, I read them again last week. I know it was him. I just didn't realize you still cared. The door hung open. The air between them buzzed with something unspoken and volatile. She didn't deny it. And I didn't know where to stand anymore. David stood there like a truth too big to unhear. Not angry. Not surprised. Just present. Like he'd already lived this scene in his head and was waiting to see if we'd catch up. Claire crossed her arms. Not defensively, more like to hold herself together. You shouldn't have read them, she said. Quiet but not weak. He gave a tired shrug. I was cleaning out the attic. They were in your old notebooks. I didn't go looking for them. She didn't respond. His gaze shifted to me. You're grown now. That's obvious. But this still doesn't make sense. I swallowed hard. It's not about making sense. Then what's it about? I looked at Claire. Her eyes met mine wide, wet, tired, but unflinching. It's about how I never stopped thinking about her, I said. Even when I tried. Even when it didn't make sense. David sighed. You think she's what you want because you saw her when you were still half-formed. But people aren't memories. They're heavier. Claire stepped in. Don't talk to him like that. Like what? Like he's some kid chasing a fantasy. He's not. He looked at her long and sharp. So what are you saying? She hesitated. I could see her weighing every word, as if each one came with a cost. I'm saying he didn't imagine it. I felt it too. And I fought it. For years. But it never went away. I stepped forward. My voice barely held. If I say it out loud, I can't take it back. So this is me, saying it. I looked at her. You were the first person who ever saw me like I was someone worth seeing. Not a project. Not an obligation. Just me. She blinked fast but didn't look away. I know this is messy. I know it's late. But I also know I'm not just trying to relive something. I'm trying to begin something. David looked like he'd aged 10 years in 5 minutes. You're both adults, he said. I can't stop you. And then, after a pause, but don't pretend this started today. He turned to leave, paused in the doorway. She made me feel seen too once. Then she disappeared. That part doesn't change. And he was gone. The door clicked closed. Claire didn't move. Neither did I. Then, slowly, she stepped toward me. She looked wrecked. Honest, unguarded in a way I'd never seen. I was terrified, she whispered. You were so young, and I was so careful. But you saw through all of it. I nodded. I still do. Silence stretched between us, but it wasn't empty. It was full of everything we hadn't let ourselves say until now. Then she reached for my hand. I don't know what this is yet, she said. But I want to find out. I held on. Not tight. Just enough to say I'm still here. 3 months later, I was back at her place. No rain this time. No broken down car, no stepdad on the porch. Just the sound of her stirring coffee, and my jacket hanging by the door like it had always belonged there. She painted the kitchen a different color, pale green now, not cream. Said it made the room feel more alive. Sometimes, I catch her staring at me when she thinks I'm not looking. Like she's still waiting for the spell to break. Like she still can't believe we're here. I get it. Some part of me still checks the rear view too. But here's the truth. We didn't fall into each other. We didn't rush it. That's why it worked. After David left that day, she didn't run into my arms. She asked me to leave gently so she could think. Said she needed space to figure out whether this was real or just a spark inside an old wound. I gave it to her. I spent a week not calling, not pacing, just breathing. When she finally called, it wasn't with answers. It was with a question. Do you still want to start something with me? Even if it's slow? Even if people talk? I said yes before she finished the sentence. Since then, it's been quiet, careful, but real. We go grocery shopping at weird hours. We argue about music. She leaves sticky notes in my notebooks, tiny drawings of dogs wearing hats. And sometimes we sit on the porch and talk about the past like it belongs to someone else. Because in a way, it does. David never came back. She reached out once. Left a message that said, "We're okay. I hope you are too." That was the last thread to tie. What changed? She smiles easier now. I talk more, but only when it matters. We don't hide behind almosts anymore. She once said, "Love doesn't show up with fireworks. Sometimes it knocks on your door with a dead car battery." I said, "And sometimes it doesn't leave." She smiled at that. Still does. We don't need to define it for anyone else. We lived it. Slow, messy, real. That's the only way it could have lasted.